This is a Arctic beekeeper, one of the many. It's autumn here. We're cruising into autumn. It's up for debate. We've had a week of rain and cold and wind. This week is supposed to be in the 60s and warm. Right now it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 10 degrees Celsius. A little bit breezy. And the breeze is cold. It's not warm. I am in the Master Beekeeping program at University of Montana, taking it online. Thank goodness for online classes. And I've been learning some things after 8 years. 8.5 years? Learning more things. Always, right? There's debate sometimes about using a queen excluder. That bees filled up with nectar sometimes can't get through, and it might stop the honey from being put up into the honey supers, because they might not be able to get through those little slots. And this summer, as I've been observing my hives, one thing I've noticed is that they're producing a lot of wax, much more than normal. And they have almost clogged my queen excluders in some places. So it's been difficult to put feed on because they're plugging the rungs on the queen excluders with Burke-comb Propolis waxy mixy stuff. If you watched any of my earlier videos, things have changed so much. They change so fast because thankfully lots of people are interested in bees and doing research. This is great. We need the research. We need to figure out how to best keep our bees healthy and alive and our colonies going. And I think the small-time beekeepers, those of us who have less than 50 hives, are the ones who are going to figure this all out. Because we're the ones who can actually tend to our hives individually and pay lots of attention to what's going on versus going from boom, 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 hive to hive to hive to hive. We get to spend more time on our individual hives and experiment. Anyway, I wrote a big list of goals for my inspection today, and I'm looking for it. I think I've left it somewhere on the table. Nope, here it is. Look at that list. These are all things I want to accomplish with my hives today. I'm concentrating on the big ones. The National Honeybee Survey is going to be coming this week and doing another inspection of all the colonies, checking for any diseases, pests, etc., and sending the materials they take from my hives off to Maryland for some testing. I won't get the report until next spring. If you want to see the report that I got this summer, which is for last year, you can check our Facebook page and I'll post it later. Wasn't good. Wish I would have known that going into fall. I had adopted some hives, and going into winter I had nosema and mites, even after treating. So can you imagine if I didn't treat? Can you imagine if you don't treat your bees? We gotta figure this out. So I've got my smoker lit. Some of my choice fuels. Toilet paper, used. But also, as every Alaskan has access to, birch bark. That's the white stuff. Spruce moss, very flammable. And the wonderful moose nuggets. Moose poop. Dried up little nuggets of plant matter. They're almost like a plant charcoal. They're great. You know, in a survival situation, you can eat these. Let me break one in half. See what's in it? A whole lot of plant stuff. That's it. I'm not going to eat these moose nuggets. They make great fuel for my smoker. Got my smoker going. Had it going for just a few minutes already. Just to give the bees a little heads up. Heads up! Here she comes. Get a nice white smoke going. Of course, you don't want to flame them out. You put it on this side because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. It is mid-afternoon. We have, 17, 18 hours of daylight these days. We are not yet at the end of August. Close. Hi. My bees have some things to forage on. Bizarrely, I found a few new blooms of wild roses. They bloom in June. But they've got lots of clover. They've got lots of borage. they've got buckwheat, they've got what else? A little bit of fireweed left. They've got yarrow, they've got goldenrod. They don't have a plethora of it, obviously, and so I'm feeding them dry pollen substitute. I put a few scoops in there. They're going through about 2 cups a day. And the ladies go on in, wiggle around, collect it in their pollen pockets, and if I can get her close enough, you can see. Can you see her? Right there. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? She's got her pollen pockets full of pollen substitute. She's going to take them back into the hive and pack it into the cells. What I got on my finger right here is wet pollen substitute. If you want to smell a foul smelling thing, oh, it smells like a dead animal when it gets wet and it just sits there for a while, which is what happens when we have a lot of rain. I have my bee bucket with me with all my tools and stuff. I like to clean stuff off. I don't want the bees to have to smell that horrible smell. And I don't want to step in it or slide in it as I'm walking through here. Mid-afternoon, so ideally the bees are out foraging, right? We can see quite a few of them are. Oh, look at that. A yellow jacket just went in there. I tried to kill it, but it didn't work. Boy, those vicious little beasts. So look what happened here. This happened last time I was in my hives. I've mentioned this a few times. I use polystyrene hives, which I love. This is a wooden super, honey super. Polystyrene top feeder, polystyrene lid, polystyrene open bottom board. Anyway, I added some fondant and some pollen patties before the rains came. And they're right in between the super and the feeder. Not good. Breezy, cold air has been going in. This is where my queen excluder is. It was too plugged up with burr comb and wax to put my pollen substitute and pollen patty on it. Bees couldn't access it. So I moved it up a little bit. So, I'm going to open this hive. This is the strap I've talked about a little bit. Very easy to use. Has one little clip here, one little clip here. Clip, pull, flip, and we're done. And you can carry your hive around with that if you wanted to carry your hive around. It's worked well for me. You do you, whatever works well for you. I have my hives elevated to make sure that they could get to the syrup because they've been clogging the area that allows them to get to the syrup in an attempt to get to the syrup. They love the syrup. It's not just sugar syrup in there. It's sugar, water, lemongrass oil, spearmint oil, some lecithin granules that I have dissolved in there, and some Hive Alive, lemon juice. That's it. But they aren't getting what they need in the environment. Once again, these ladies have clogged themselves up, which means they haven't been able to get to the stuff I gave them in order to keep them alive during this chilly, rainy, cold, miserable weather. I am going to wait and clean that out later. What I want to do is check on Propolis. Got it? You hear the little click? I want to check on my population. Ooh, delicious. See all those bees? They're in there. I need to smoke them right now. Add a little smoke. I don't want to squish anybody. And I want them to go down into their hive. I don't want to over smoke them. Just pisses them off. Because I'm going to take off this honey super and lay it on the table next to the hive and then go into the deep box. Because that is where the queen is. I want to check her out before winter. I want to see if there's brood in there. And I want to pull the honey. I know there's some honey in there because this is a heavy, heavy box. I can tell because when I lift it, oh, it's heavy. I'm going to pull those out. I'm going to spin them today and put them right back in. I do have extra frames that I've already spun that I'm going to throw in there after I pull these frames, so they're not without frames. I don't want to leave them in an empty box. Temperatures at night are going down to the low 40s. I don't want any dead air space. So I'm going to lift this honey super over here. They're going to be madder than hell. What do? You go slow, you use the smoke, you say a few magical beekeeping words. If you know of any, let me know. I'm going to crack this propolis. They're buzzing away. This is my super hive. This hive has outdone all of the others. I think I've gotten 40 frames of brood from this hive. Right in front of me I've got the lid. I'm going to just put it aside. I've got a tote because I'm going to be putting the frames from the deep box in there. I'm going to move my pollen substitute over to the next table. I have my hives up on small market tables. Oh, mother of God, it's heavy. Okay, there we go, girls. Get the ladies down there. All right, good activity. They're moving around. They're not lethargic. Boy, it's propolis. They're making the propolis. I'm feeding the hive alive this year, which is new. But I was thinking about it the other day. I've also been adding organic chickpea flour and yeast powder to my pollen patties, as well as honey, which I read about in an article about beekeeping in Siberia, and pollen granules from last year, a little bit of sugar syrup, some borage oil, some chitin. So some of those things are new this year. So that might be the reason for the large amounts of brood, large amounts of propolis. It could be that or the hive alive, I'm not sure. I would have had to have tried one without the other to really figure that out. So I'm gonna lift this up, and I don't want it to jolt. So I'm gonna use my hive tool and break the seals that they have put literally across the tops of the frames. When it jolts, they're going to be jarred and unhappy. I don't want that. I also have a queen cage in my pocket and a queen marker in another pocket. They've got this on tight. Because if I happen to see another queen, or my queen's marking is gone, I'm going to remark her. I also want to isolate her so I shouldn't get caught up in the drama. Okay, look what we have here. So I have a metal queen excluder. You see the propolis going across? They are sealing that sucker shut. It's worse than the other hives. I set that in my tote. I will try to lift my hive sideways here so you can see what I'm looking at. I want to take all this propolis off these frames. I'm not sure why they're doing it. You know, they make it out of tree resins. It's also called bee glue. It works really well to seal drafty entrances. I've got a box over here for putting honey frames in. So as I pull them out, I'm going to leave, come back. You can stare at the hive. When I'm doing hive inspection, if I notice honey frames that are uncapped, I'll put them on the far left. One of the things I learned in my class is that they'll make honey inside out, which doesn't make sense to me because that's where the brood nest is. Why would they make honey, pack honey, inside where the brood nest is? I don't know. I'm learning a lot of great stuff. I'm learning stuff that contradicts other stuff. It's out of Montana, it's not out of Alaska. So there is quite a bit of stuff missing, for me anyway, you know. All beekeeping is local. Take a class from someone that is beekeeping in your area, but I wanted something more than a 2 or 3 day class. And after keeping bees for years, I knew that there was things I was missing. This frame feels very light. Of course, I want to find that queen. They are putting some honey up here. We've got a supersede your cell right here. Right yep, there. Supersede your cell is typically that the queen's pheromones aren't cranking out. Got some nectar on there. It's breezy. It's not warm out. The idea that bees don't fly in 47 degrees Fahrenheit, well, you can see that's, I don't know, the southern bees. Those delicate southern bees. I'm going to keep going. I typically go right to left, but since I'm pulling honey frames, I want to go left to right. I'm seeing a lot of different colors of bees. That's great. It's because my queen mated with everyone she could. And she was up there. This is a heavier frame. Got quite a bit of honey around the sides. Quite a bit of nectar. I see bees of all ages. This is a frame that does not have any eggs or larvae or brood on it, and the queen is not on here. I also don't see any signs of fecal matter or deformed wing virus or any other thing that's given me concern. I do see a few drones. That's all right. I'm going to put this in the tote. So guess what I did? In order to get honey frames to my other box, I have to go past this tote full of bees. If it was a hot day, I would be spraying all these gals down with some syrup, with some Hive Alive in it, to help prevent varroa. I need to scrape this off. So I need these gals to get off of here for a minute. And this is some tough stuff. Come on. It's, you know, I'm telling the bee to please go away. Instead it comes closer. Sometimes it happens. So this is the bee glue. Ugh. Antibacterial, antifungal, anti-everything. Anti-fascist, anti... You know. So, funny thing, not really funny, pain in the ass actually. I just started making these videos. I've been doing podcasts for a few years, and doing videos was reluctant on my part because I didn't want to put myself out there. I am very private. And I've had stalkers before. There's lots of women out there who are going to identify with this. So I figured, okay, I'll do some videos, see what happens, right? Why not? Well, why not? I have unearthed, no, I didn't do it. He did it. The first troll has surfaced, and don't you love trolls? Decided to attack me online. A little shit. He's got too much time on his hands. He seems to be a beekeeper, maybe a beginning beekeeper. Don't know him, don't know the name, never crossed paths. So, Mr. Troll, this is for you. This smoke is for you. Find something else to do, buddy. Go read a book. Go feed your bees. Go work on overwintering instead of killing your bees. Take a class. Be a positive beekeeping community member versus someone that harasses women. Because we shouldn't have to go through this shit. There aren't many women out there who do beekeeping videos. I've had a hard time finding them. A lot of guys. That's great. But I gotta say, I'm more inspired when I see someone that is female, because I'm female, right? So it's another reason I did it. We'll see if Mr. Troll takes a hike or considers another hobby. Meanwhile, I'm not going to be bullied by his self. Not my first creepy, trolly, stocky rodeo. Pain in the ass. It's a problem. But if we let it shut us up, then the trolls are winning. Forget that. Trolls can't win. This is a beautiful, full frame of bees where they are just loving that nectar. Both sides full. Not enough honey to pull. I am looking for that queen because I don't want to remove her. I'm going to stick this back in the hive. I only had to move a few frames out to give me some space to move around. Then if I find some honey frames, I can pull them, quickly replace them, right? Is that going to happen quick? Where's my extra frames? Over there. Uh-oh. Past my tote full of bees. Waiting. I should have brought some over with me right now. It's hard to think of all these things before getting into a hive. It's hard to remember them all and be prepared for them all. Oh my goodness. Got a swarm the other day. Pretty exciting. Had been in a tree for a month, clinging to the branches, and I've got that colony in a nuke hive on my deck. Got a lot of baby bees here. Cute as bugs. Little furry faces. Looking for that queen. This is why it's important to mark your queens. Because when you have this many bees on here, how in the heck are you going to find her otherwise? I don't see her here either. And I don't see... Okay, that's not supposed to happen. They're real sensitive. They're hungry, I'm sure. I don't see any larvae. I don't see any eggs. But there are a gazillion bees on here. So, yep, look at that, right at the face. So I'm looking on this side, because I may have missed it. I do see some brood. I don't see that queen. She's a red queen. She has been laying wonderfully all summer long. Putting the frame back in. Slowly. Don't let my slowness fool you. You see how sensitive they are right now? It's a sensitive time of year. The creatures are getting hungry. Winter is coming. I don't want this to take forever. My goal, pulling honey frames, and also putting in the frames that have been spun already so they can be cleaned off by the bees. I want them super clean. We now have wax moths. Never had those before. Had to read up on the wax moths. Luckily, you can freeze your frames and it'll kill them. The larvae. We have no shortage of freezing temperatures here. This frame, this colony is huge. I think what I will do, even though it's late in the season, is I will put a deep box on top of here with those frames that need to be cleaned off. I don't see any eggs or larvae on this. And this is a frame that's pretty empty, except for all the bees. Probably newly hatched. I am just about in the brood nest. She should be near. I know she's here. Smoke's getting in my face. I know they're all thinking about whether or not to sting the crap out of me. This is my second frame that has no eggs or larvae in it. You know what I don't want? I don't want to be missing a queen. at this time of year. Especially this wonderful queen. She's been kicking ass. Got a lot of black bees in here. Wonderful. See? I'm just going to put some smoke on these bees on my hands. Reaching over sucks. Try not to do it. The bees will go right up to your sensitive parts. Right? Armpits, inner thighs, face. I did decide to buy a J hook. It hasn't arrived yet. But it looks like a J hook will allow me to pick up frames on the opposite side of the hive with less interruption than my hive tool. I'm in the brood nest now, or what should be the brood nest. She has slowed down laying. One good thing about that is that this would be a great time to treat for mites after I've grabbed the honey out of here. Because the oxalic acid vapors can't permeate the wax capping on brood, you got to treat them when it can get to all the bees. This is the time. So that means my night will be treating for mites. I've got just, there's a little bit of brood, a couple of them. She's slowed down. She'll speed up in a little bit of time. And that's where we'll get the winter bees that will make it through winter, can live for up to 10 months, staying in a juvenile state, not fully developing, not fully maturing rather. Always wonderful to see bees buzzing throughout the winter. All right, we've got just a couple brood cells. Tonight's the night to treat for mites. Tonight or tomorrow morning, when they all go in, I will plug the entrance and come through with my wand and my battery. I recently learned that there are battery operated wand vaporizers. That's good news. Glad somebody's improving things. I've got a list if anyone's interested of things I'd like to see change or, you know, be altered. I'd like to find gloves that actually fit my hands. They're all made for man hands. It's a heavy frame. And I see on the next one there is some capped honey. Ooh, look at that. So she can be on that end. You don't want to squish her. She'd like to find her. Got another frame here. Just a couple cells of brood. Tons of bees. Ooh! I hate when that happens, when things slip. This would be ideal going into winter if I had 10 full frames of storage or reserves. I want bees covering the frames like this. One box, one deep box, not two. Oh, I hate the crunch. If I put a deep box on top of here, the queen could move up. I don't want that to happen. Got lots of empty frames down here, so there's enough room for her, so I'll put a queen excluder on and then treat them. She's got plenty of room to lay. I see honey here. I see at least 2 frames of honey, and they're pretty protective here. It's not typical of them to charge me like this. Using a lot of smoke. So this might be a frame I'm going to pull. The honey flow this year has been, the honey harvest has been low, real low, way below average. We've had a lot of rain. This frame, oh, we've got some brood, that's great. And we've got another supersedure cell. great that we've got brood, as you can see. I'll hold it up. We've got brood. So the queen is in here, still laying. Well, that thwarts my plan to treat for mites tonight, but I will probably do it anyway, because the majority of the population is not brood. Still have not found the queen, but there's so many bees in here. She could be in here along the sides. She could be moving around. This is a very healthy colony. They're festooning at the bottom. See how they're hanging on the bottom? You know, I removed 2 frames and I thought it gave me enough room, but there's so many bees in here that I just don't have much more room. So I need to decide, do I want to keep going? Why is she laying brood at the end? I don't know. It's not the warmest part of the hive. I could switch it up, put the brood nest in the middle, but she selected those frames for a reason. These nitrate gloves are short, so I have to continuously tuck them in. I'm going to push my frames over, the ones that are in the hive. I've got the 2 that are on the side here. And I'm going to close this hive up. It's okay. They're really protective. Boy, I have some beauties in here. If I wasn't using my camera to make this video, I'd be photographing them. Come on. There you go. I'm not doing any damage, guys. Oh! Right as I say that. Sometimes things move, they don't move smoothly. Me included. I just want to move the frames over, which is actually going to move that brood over a little bit. It'll allow me to see those end frames. How they're doing there. This colony has just been wonderful, but they want to get back at it, and it's the first sunny day we've had in about a week. We're supposed to have a month of temperatures in the 60s, which is really, really warm for us. I actually spread some clover seed. There's so much propolis in here that I cannot move these frames gently. Slowly. Come on. So I need to pick them up instead of shifting them with my hive tool. Picking them up means there might be a bee underneath. I don't know where the queen is. I'm really going through the smoke here. Now I've really got some room in here where I can see these frames. This is the brood frame. I'm going to come to this side so I'm not leaning over as much, and I can use 2 hands instead of 1 to move this frame over and just try to inch it. I read something in my class that said because of our midnight sun we can produce honey crops of 300 pounds. I didn't know people couldn't do that. I didn't know other people couldn't do that. Yeah, we got the midnight sun, but our bees don't forage all night long. Typically mine come in right in the beginning of summer. Mine come in by 10 p.m. Right now they're coming in 8 p.m. Got long days ahead of them. Since I'm here, I'm going to just check out this frame. More brood. Queen is here somewhere. I can't find her. I don't see her. That's okay. I don't need to. We don't always need... Okay. We don't always need to find her. We've got signs that show us that she's here. We can trust that. Bees are good and active. They're protective. They're full of vigor. They're on these frames. And I'm about to make them happy. by drizzling a little syrup across the top. Got a bee stuck in between frames here. Ah, it's inevitable. Final frame, and then I'll just insert in a bald-faced hornet. Oh, these creatures. They're huge, like hummingbirds. I did get a chance to scrape off that propolis. It's one of my goals. I still have to clean out the feeder so the bees can access the syrup. Ooh! Look at all that brood. Can you see it? And we've got the other side full of brood as well. This queen is just kicking it. I would love to be making some queen-like daughters from her, but I have not yet. I've learned how to graft, but I haven't learned it well enough to where I'm confident, and I didn't learn it in time to do it. I think here we would have to do it in June when the temperatures are actually going to be warm and not cool down. I'm going to get this last bit of gunk here. And I'm going to, got some choices. I can put these other, I'll put these other frames of bees in that have just the nectar, full of nectar, that I had in the tote. This will help the brood nest become just a little bit warmer. Maybe she'll be inspired to lay a little more, or not. Jeez, smoke. Grilled cheeses. Smoke. I gotta get that last frame in here. So this hive has already given me some frames of honey. Oh, for God's sake. Smokers. It's a whole nother video, whole nother thing. Pain in the ass. Pain in the ass with the lids coming off. With the bellows ripping, not holding up. This might be why they're so protective, is the freaking bald-faced hornet. Oh, geez, you can't see her, can you? If I had a waffle spatula, I could kill her. I missed her, by the way. We got this funky frame. I'm gonna stick it in on this edge. Should be a tight fit. I'm gonna try and let it slide. Just slide real smooth like, so those bees can move out of the way. Okay, I'm not a bald-faced hornet. I'm not even bald. That hornet's right here on top of the feeder. And she is trying to get to the bees in the feeder. So I want to close this hive up. They will grab the bees, rip their heads off, and take their bodies back to their colonies to feed their young. They're carnivorous, they're aggressive, and they're a pain in the ass. And they're quick. I enjoy. Oh, yes! I got it. Sorry, I digress. I have a wasp trap over here that you can't see that is literally black because it's full of hornets, bald-faced hornets. So I want to get these gals closed up. I might have wasp juice on here, I don't know. I'm going to add some more fuel, some birch, some nuggets, and I'm going to move on to the next stage of this hive. And give it another queen excluder that doesn't have any propolis built up on it. Come on, please, just let me do my job. Just let me do my job. Okay. Going down, baby, down, baby, down, baby, down, down, down. For crying out loud. I just want to smoke. Come on, ladies. So, Mr. Troll, if you're watching, May the bald face hornets be with you. Now, I'm going to add a whole lot of fondant. And I'm going to add pollen patty. Even though there's hardly any brood in there. There's what, 2-3 frames? I'll have to put that in my app. Now that I've scraped most of the propolis off the top, I can fit something in here. This is not enough. I want it so that if we get another several days of rain, that my gals are okay. It's very stressful for them to be fed and then hungry, fed and then hungry. I've got some pollen patty out there for them. I've got Hive Alive and I need to open it up. I want to open it up before I lay down the pollen patty. Because they go right for it. In order to put this Hive Alive on the top, I have to squish it. And then I'll have to put the queen excluder on pretty quick. I'm looking for it. It's over here. And in my tote there are no bees left. I should have brought a knife. Thought I had a cutter. Gonna slice open the Hive Alive fondant. I typically do it in a crisscross pattern. Let me get that queen excluder. Said queen excluder, it's a plastic one. I have found it very difficult to clean them. In the spring, I clean all my equipment. I clean it through the winter, and then in the spring, I clean the equipment that's been used by the bees over winter. Sterilize everything, all that stuff. So I'm going to put the pollen patty in first and squish it down over where the brood is so that when the brood hatches, it has immediate access to it. Once again, the smoker's blowing on me. So I have to move it. I don't want to because I want it blowing on the bees. This stuff can dry out pretty fast. And so I'm going to look in my bucket, look around. I've got a squeezy bottle of syrup. It's like a camping ketchup bottle. And so I'll squeeze some right on top of that patty. At this point you gotta move quick because if they had low energy because they were dehydrated, they're now getting hydrated. They'll gobble it up and be ready to fight. Be ready to protect. So I'm pulling up the Hive Alive. I'm going to leave a pound in this hive. I've got to smoke them again. And as soon as I put this Hive Alive on here, you'll be able to see. I'll move the queen excluder. They come right up. I smell old pollen. See, I really have to work this in to flatten it out because it is quite thick. And here they come. Here they come. I'll put the queen excluder on and then I will put a lid on this box and go into the honey super. Using my hive tool to try and peel this Hive Alive off. It is not easy. Be prepared to get sticky. And then be prepared to hide it. Fold it over, close it up pretty quickly afterwards. Because the bees will start coming for it. So I'm going to press it Hive Alive into both sides of the colony. Why? Because I want everybody to have access to it. I don't want to squish any bees. I don't want any of them caught in it. It's always a pisser. Sorry for my foul language. I'm going to put a little bit of, a little bit of syrup from Hive Alive. Help melt it just a little bit. Not so much that it falls down the frames, but so the gals in the hive are getting some syrup. Now I really need to get these gals down and get a lid on them. I'm going to put this queen excluder on first, and then I'll put a lid on, and then I'll go into the feeder. This is a long hive inspection. It's actually more than an inspection. I've had some goals here, not just coming out to check things. I'm going to lay this right on top. Now normally what you do is you put your next box on. I'm not ready for that. I need to go through that box. My lid is here. Now these gals won't bother me. These gals will. I'm going to knock that wasp off with a little bit of jubilancy. I have another lid. I always bring a spare lid out. Why? Because oftentimes I have to lid stuff up. You can't see the super right now, but it is chock full of bees that are part of the colony I was just going through. I want to smoke them, get them down out of these honey supers, and put this lid on to protect me and them. I feel better about it. There we go. I'm not interrupting them. So, top feeder. The bees come through this piece of plastic here, and they come down to where they can get to the syrup. Interestingly, this feeder will typically give you far less dead bees, far less drownings. However, this year, bizarrely, I've had more drownings in these hive feeders, and I think it's because they just want the syrup so badly. I have no other reason, right? And I'm trying to make up a reason for bees that can't tell me why they're doing what they're doing. So I am going to, I'll show you what's going on. The wasps are attracted to the syrup and the dead bees. I am going to shake this out over here and dump it. See all the bees on the bottom there? I don't want them to get crushed. I'm going to replace that syrup. I'm going to test the weight of this honey super here just by lifting it up. And I will move my camera so that you can see it. It's right here. Let's see how heavy this is. How likely is it that there's honey in there? It's pretty heavy. All right, going in. I need to look at what I want to change before I open up this box. I want my honey box closer. I want my extra frames closer. I've got a spare super right here with no frames in it. I'm going to take those frames, even if they're not all capped. I've got a full honey super here without any bees in it, with frames that need to be cleaned off. What I'm going to do, throw my Hive Alive patty in my bee box, empty super, full of bees. I'm going to take this feeder and I'm going to put it in my tote. It's empty. I'm going to take the lid off this super and put the bees from that super into this super. which is going to be super. I want to turn this feeder away from me because of the bees on the back side, and there's a lot of them. What I could do is remove this lid, stick this new super on top, and just brush them down. But the thing I'm thinking of is that the bees from the bottom can come up through the queen excluder. So, do I want to get them in the box first before I put it on? Or I just want to get them in there? This has been going on for about 45 minutes now. I have other hives I need to look at. So I'm going to go for new super on this box. Bang these bees off. The super that needs to be cleaned is on the hive. They're buzzing. I'm going to remove a few frames from the middle and start brushing the thousands of bees that are in this super into this box here. Put my lid aside. Got my original lid right here. You can hear them. I want to bang them down. I've got them. They're all gone. Now what I'm going to do is I want those bees to want to be in there. So I'm going to squirt those frames with some syrup. I'm not going to squirt the bees. I don't want to get the bees wet. But I want the bees to be happy. And I want them to be attracted to this super. So while I'm swiping the other super, they aren't wanting to stay in here so bad. Honey is very good at holding water. You know this if you've left a frame out in the rain before. All right. Instead of doing it in the middle, which is my original plan, I'm just going to brush them off in the end. Why not? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 frames of bees in this. And they are anticipating my behaviors. I'm going to move my tote in which I'm going to put the honey frames next to me to close the distance. Give them a little smoke. Not going to do much other than drive them down into the super, and all that is here is the super. I've already decided I'm going to take all these frames, whether they're drawn out or not. These bees are already alerted. I'm sure there's some pheromone communication going on. There's nothing on there. Not a dang thing. So since there's nothing on there, except for some bees, I can bang it. Undoubtedly, I'm going to get some criticism for that. I don't care. It works for me. The whole give the hive a shake thing and then they all fall off doesn't work for me. Never did. But this does. And it doesn't seem to hurt the bees. I'm not killing any. It's quick. It does do a number on my frames if I hit it wrong. But it's quick and I want them in there. Nothing on these frames. Boy, oh boy. These bees need more food. And we've got another month, at least another month. Probably almost 2 months before these bees get hived up for winter. Closed up for winter. I'm going to try to use one hand. Why? Because I don't want to reach over them. I don't want to kill anybody. But you know what? There's a lot of bees on that frame. I can use my brush and gently brush them. But what I've found happens with the brush is they get stuck in the brush. And then they look at the brush as the enemy. And they want to attack my brush. Lots of bees in here. Lots and lots of bees. I can anticipate that in just a few minutes they'll have eaten all the syrup I squirt in there, so I wanted to make sure that my syrup is close by. We've got a little bit of honey here and lots of bees. So I'll show you the brushing method. You decide. Brush away from you. If they don't see you, they're not going to sting you. But do you see all the bees stuck in my brush? That's the brushing. Don't use a black brush. That was the first brush I bought, was black, a big black furry brush, and they hated it. Every time I brought that brush out, they attacked it. So see, I'm not really getting all the gals in the hive. Sometimes if things are moving real slow, got lots of time, we can, I say we, me and the bees, just slowly, kind of meditatively brush them in. Come on, I want you guys in there. I want the hive closed up. I don't want any wasps getting in there. No smoke, smoke, smoke. Got a tiny bit of honey on here. Bad year for honey. Whenever I put a frame in there, I'm putting the lid on. Got these frames together. Maybe another squirt. A lot of bees in there now. And they are hungry. More smoke. Smoke, smoke, smoke. They're worried about a wildfire now, and they want to gorge themselves. That's the understanding. If I had a J-hook, I'd get this frame out a lot easier. Lots of bees, again, gigantic hive. And I'm going to do the top down slam. I shouldn't say slam. Brush the remainders. So if you're going to do this, make sure that your frames are solid. If you're assembling your own frames, make sure you've got glue and nails in there, so nothing breaks apart, because that'll suck, and then you lose some of your equipment. The bees are starting to beard. It's when they gather on the side of the frame. But I'm almost done. I've only got a couple of frames left, and I'll close this hive up and end this extremely long video that did not result in what I was hoping it would result in. That's okay. You gotta be flexible, right? Lots of bees. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another queen up here. It's happened before. Looking for a spot where there are no bees on these frames, and bang. Don't tell anyone I told you to do this. If you're doing it because you choose to. I absolve myself of all responsibility. This can be a really long day. All our winter prep stuff is happening right now. What am I doing? Making a video on beekeeping. Subarctic beekeeping. I tell you, when you're a beekeeper up here, everything depends on the weather, and plans change on a dime. They really do. The term beekeeper's widow is not uncommon up here. If you're in a relationship with a beekeeper, don't make any long-term plans. Don't make any plans ahead of time, because you never know when things are going to change because the weather's changed. Let's drive these guys down too. See if I can get less interference. The brush is covered with bees. I've got a couple more frames. I might get one with honey. Just one. Bees are clogging up right near where the frames hook onto the box. I feel like Bob Ross right now. little bees, tiny little bees. So I'm pretty disappointed right now. Pretty disappointed. But it is what it is. Just a lot of time, long days. Long days, a lot of care. We typically get about 45 gallons of honey. So far, 10. So far, 10. That is a drastic reduction. And we haven't had a drought. We've had a lot of rain. So the nectar is good. But the temperature's been down. And with that rain, even though I've got bees that'll forage when it's drizzly, they don't want to forage when there's a lot of rain. You want to know what else takes a lot of time? Is making the video, editing the video, posting the video. I keep the comments closed because I don't have time to answer the comments or read the comments. I'm sorry for making comments. If you want me to read it, email it to me. I'll find it that way. But make it worthwhile. Don't be trolly. Don't be creepy. I wonder if Ian Stepler has to deal with creepies. Cayman Reynolds. Interesting to think about and how they handle it. I would bet that the bee girl does. I don't know her real name, but she calls herself the bee girl. There's a reason that we use fake names. Yeah. People don't have real good boundaries. So they show up at your house, they try to find your family members, try to look you up because they want to ask you questions, or they think they know you. It's creepy. I'm going to brush these remaining bees in here. They sound pretty happy. They're liking that syrup. The ones that I didn't get in there will make it in there by themselves. Let's drive them down a little bit so I can close this hive up and put these frames in. I've got just a couple little clusters right here of bees, and I'm going to use some birch bark to pick them up with my brush, and so I can get them inside. Give them some syrup. Being good sports. One more, and we're done. One more, then we put the feeder on and we're done. If you're still with me. If you haven't left. Alright, I've got them all in here, secured. This frame doesn't want to go in. There we go. Smoke them down. We've got food in there. I'll put the feeder back on, fill it up with syrup, and they'll be good. They can get back to their flying around and perusing and collecting pollen. And I think I ran out of fuel. I did. I have on a few hives put food on top of the supers, but then when I put the feeder up on top, I have to deal with the bees that are on the feeder, clinging to the feeder. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. Alright, bees, yep. Put that on. Now we don't have that space where the cold, drafty air can get through. We do have a little space here. Make sure that's on correctly. The wooden hives do fit with the polystyrene, but not perfect. Time for some syrup and to close this up. I've got my 5-gallon bucket. I'll need to make some more. Oops, there goes my spoon. These feeders hold about 2 gallons, I think. Put the spoon in there. Put that off to the side. And I'm just going to take my, well, you know what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lid on. Lid's on. All done. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your bees. Say prayers for Ukraine. This video is copyrighted and all rights reserved. See you again.